And now here's the host of your show, Paul Stanford and Paul Loney.
Really tired. Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We are a production, our show is a production of our Oregon Political Committee campaign for the restoration and regulation of hemp. And we sponsor a petition here in Oregon, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, and we are in the final month of our petition drive. We need your signatures. I'm one of the chief petitioners on that. My name's Paul Stanford, and I'd like to introduce you to our attorney. He is also our treasurer, a fellow chief petitioner on the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, and the president of the Oregon Wildlife Federation, Mr. Paul Loney.
Thanks, Paul. We're back again, the two Pauls. Paul said we're here to talk about our initiative, among other things, and to bring some common sense to this this whole sort of war on drugs madness, war on some drugs madness. To provide you with the answers. Then and then maybe if you have questions, call us up and leave us those questions. We'll try and answer those. But we do have a phone number in our office, 503-235-4606. That's our phone number. You can call there and get more petitions, ask questions about our petition. And that's also, on our petitioners, address to mail them back in once you have signatures on there.
And we need them all back now. If you've got signatures, now is the time to mail them back to us. We have to have all of our signatures by the end of this month, by the end of June. And if you have them, mail them in. If you don't have them, call us at this number, 235-4606.
Yeah, definitely. We're here to try and get this initiative on the ballot, to get the debate out there, some real information. If this is on the ballot, we're going to have real debate, real facts getting out there. Something that's missing right now. And that's one of the reasons why we found that our show here, Cannabis Common Sense, is so popular, is that we're providing common sense. Some real answers about this whole issue. And I'm sure there's probably some of our, Portland's finest watching this show. And,
yes.
It's like, I'd like you folks, if you're watching, to stop and think about it. It's just like, think about what you're doing and why you're doing it. I mean, it's just hopefully it's not just because you're following orders.
Hopefully it's not because you want that next paycheck.
Yeah.
Stop tyranny. Stop arresting nonviolent marijuana offenders. Support the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. Call us. You want to tell them what OCTA will do?
Well, yeah. Thanks, Paul, for reminding me. OCTA will allow doctors to prescribe medical marijuana to patients at cost they can then pick up at a pharmacy. You can go to your local, Rite Aid or Walgreens or Fred Meyer, any pharmacy of your choosing, and pick up your prescription there. A lot easier than trying to find a black market. Another thing it'll do, it will allow our farmers to grow industrial hemp, in which they will give them, put them in the forefront of the emerging market around the world for industrial hemp. Canada's taken off on industrial hemp movement now. Europe's been on it for a few years now. The U.S. has fallen behind in this new emerging market. It's like if, say, 20 years ago, the U.S. said ban computers here. The rest of the world would have leaped ahead with computers, and we'd be sitting here doing nothing. And it's a good thing we didn't.
It's a good analogy, because right now our farmers are falling farther and farther behind. Canada this year has allowed the first commercial hemp crop.
Yeah, so
in Europe, it's subsidized more than any other crop.
Yeah, because they realize the benefits of it, which we can get into a little bit later. But the other main aspect of our initiative, which would be allow sale to adults, allow sale of marijuana to adults through state-run stores, i.e. the liquor store system, or in bars and clubs. The bars and clubs wouldn't have to sell alcohol.
Right.
But they'd be licensed and run just like the bars are today. It's so it's regulated, so people know what's going on, and then that way minors can't have access. And then of course that aspect would be taxed.
Adult recreational sales would be taxed, and I think that would raise more money than the lottery. We really can't quantify it officially.
Well, and then also too, people are thinking more and more about, the lottery is not such a good thing. There was a proposed initiative this year about banning the lottery here in Oregon, but they backed off for a while. I think partly because they realized there wasn't a replacement revenue, but something like this could be the replacement revenue for the lottery. A lot of people don't like the lottery because, especially video poker, a lot of people get addicted to that so easily, and then there goes their whole paycheck. And so this could be the way, this could be the answer. And
we are going to raise a lot of money when we regulate marijuana.
Yeah.
If Oregon's the first state to regulate the sale of marijuana to adults, then we're going to put our industries at the forefront of an exciting new industry. We're going to just make lots and lots of money. The farmers are going to be happy. The tourism industry is going to be happy. The liquor store owners are going to be happy. The bars and coffee shops that get a license and don't let minors in, they're going to be happy.
Well, and all the small little crafters out there who can take industrial hemp products and make them into clothing, with different fiber, make it into food, make it into oil. There's a lot of things they can do. And, I think that we'll have a much healthier population here because of the medicinal use. Because it'll be up to the doctor and the patient for what it's prescribed for. There's not a checkoff list saying, okay, this is what only way you can prescribe, only things you can prescribe marijuana for in this list here. It's like, no, it's up to the doctor and up to the patient, because we know that medical science, they're discovering new things every single day, and so who's to say that tomorrow they might find another good use, medical use for cannabis?
It's true. There are several different compounds in cannabis or marijuana that have medicinal benefits. A lot of people talk about THC or tetrahydrocannabinol, and that's useful for lowering nausea. However, if you're pretty nauseous, it might be hard to keep that pill down. There are other things, though, that THC doesn't treat, but that marijuana does, and that's because it has other compounds that are medicinally effective. One of them is cannabidiol, or CBD, and that controls muscle spasms and has an analgesic effect. Then there's CBC, cannabichromine, and that is an antibiotic and has some other medicinal properties. Those drugs aren't available by prescription. They're not synthesized and sold pharmaceutically the way that marijuana is. So we want our farmers and industries to have access to just those items so that they can raise lots and lots of money,
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating thing, and one thing I want to talk about is how just fairly recently in Washington County, for one of the first times that I'm aware of, an attorney was able to raise the choice of evils defense in a case of a patient, multiple sclerosis patient, who was found growing some plants. This patient said that he tried, buying on the street in a black market, but that was expensive and it was scary. He didn't like having to drive, down to Portland here when the Cannabis Buyers Club was operating. He didn't like that whole scene, and so he just, grew a few plants at his home there because it helped him out. He said it helped him out tremendously.
With his multiple sclerosis, I've seen multiple sclerosis patients use marijuana. I've seen them locked in a spasm where they're almost convulsing, and they couldn't swallow a pill and keep it down and wait an hour for it to take effect, but a puff or two of marijuana helps.
Yeah, well, and that's what this gentleman said, and he was able to, they brought in a doctor who testified that, yes, he's seen, it work, and documented a case. He had documented a scientific study of this patient, MS, elsewhere, and it worked. And they, although the jury still convicted this person, I think it's a victory, the fact that the media reported the fact that there was a choice of evils defense and a medical doctor testifying as an expert that the fact that marijuana is effective for multiple sclerosis. I mean, I think that's a great victory, overall for the movement, but it's a defeat for the individual.
Right.
This individual, I mean, I hope that that they don't sentence him too harshly.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to be a poster boy for the legalization of marijuana movement, but he was willing to accept that role because he shoved upon him. Well, We don't need to shove this role of a convicted felon, this role of deviance on any more people.
Yeah, especially a patient,
medical user,
somebody who has a horrible disease condition. I'm not sure if it's called a disease or condition, but somebody who has this. I mean, people who have this, it's just horrible to have. And and I think anybody who knows an MS patient realize that they definitely have great benefits from using marijuana medicinally. And so, once again, folks, give us a call so we can get this initiative on the ballot, and so allow doctors and patients to have freedom to choose and freedom of privacy what to prescribe. 503-235-4606. And we need registered Oregon voters to sign our petition and circulate our petition. If you want to get your own signature on there, or yourself and your partner's signature, that's great. Send that back in. If you've got them in there and sitting on your dresser at home, mail that back in now. As Paul said, this is the last month. This is crunch time.
Yeah, we're rapidly counting down to the end of our petition drive. We need all of our signatures by the end of this month, by the end of June. If it comes down to the last week of June and you've got some signatures for us, don't put those in the mail. Call us at this number. We'll come and get them, or you can come drop them off at our office. Anyway, call us and get involved. We're looking to contract with petitioners right now to pay them for circulating our petitions. So if you need work or you know someone who needs to earn some money, call us at this number, 235-4606, and we'll pay you. You know, some petitioners earn a lot of money. I would say the average petitioner out there is going to earn about $20 or $25 an hour. A lot of petitioners can earn better than that. So call us at 235-4606. One petitioner just last week got over 1,300 signatures on OCTA in a 4-day work week. There's more that people can do. So call us, 235-4606.
Yeah, and getting back to our discussion on the medicinal use of marijuana, there's an increasing dialogue going on right now among cannabis activists, cannabis users, about the fact that people are saying more and more that all use of cannabis is medicinal, that we shouldn't be afraid to state that the fact that everybody uses it to, whether it's to relax and unwind, that's like medicine. I mean, like some people take an aspirin to help them relax after, a little headache after a hard day of running, or after your muscles are tight, or playing tennis, whatever. Or some people relax with alcohol, and to that's medicine. Anything that changes your state of mind is medicine according to some definitions. And people say we shouldn't be afraid of that, to say that all use is medicinal. Mm-hmm. And then it should be up to the user to decide how they want to medicate themselves.
Exactly. And in a lot of cases, people are medicating themselves medicinally for a variety of different things that aren't recognized traditionally in science, like depression. I've known people who have depression who've given up very dangerous drugs and just use marijuana and find that it controls their depression better than the very dangerous drugs do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's just an interesting dialogue that's starting to happen among some people who are just have the checklist mentality of, marijuana is only good for these specified things, and if you try and say it's good for anything else, why, then you're just, harming the cause. And I don't know, I'm still learning myself on that, but I'm tending to think that more and more, all use of cannabis is medicinal. I know that dialogue's really taking place in California, which is in sort of like the forefront these days of medical marijuana and the attacks by the federal government and the California Attorney General. And you were mentioning earlier today about the what happened down there with Dennis Perone.
Exactly. Dennis Perone was one of the people who came up with the concept of pushing for medical marijuana politically through the initiative process. He passed an initiative in the city of San Francisco back I think it was like 77, that got 70% of the vote, the highest plurality in any election ever in San Francisco, for medical marijuana. He passed another citywide San Francisco proposition to de-emphasize and defund all marijuana enforcement by the city of San Francisco. Then, back in 95 and 96, he organized a statewide medical marijuana petition known as the Compassionate Use, Californians for Compassionate Use. And that passed, and it's caused the federal government a lot of headaches, I should say. And a good thing, too, because it's brought the debate to the forefront.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it makes the federal government look like hypocrites if they take medicine away from people. You know, in a state where California said marijuana is medicine, and then here's the government coming in taking away people's medicine. I mean, you know, it's just bad PR. You know, they still don't know how to deal with it yet. They've raided some of the clubs down there, and then Dennis Perone had to close his club, correct?
Yeah, he said and admitted that he had helped supply marijuana to other clubs, and that wasn't specifically written into his initiative. And so the judge reluctantly, he said, signed an order to close the club, but the police chief and the district attorney in San Francisco, Hallinan, and the mayor, Willie Brown, all said that they support the club, and the next day it reopened, and Hazel Rogers took over the Cannabis Buyers Club in San Francisco, the largest in the nation. And she's a 72-year-old grandmother, and the city endorses her running the club, and the state government and the feds tried to close it down in a subsequent injunction, but the judge wouldn't issue the injunction. So
Yeah,
that's where it stands as of when we're taping.
Exactly, and then part of it was the fact that he was supplying to other clubs, but also he's a firm believer that all use is medicinal.
Exactly. In fact, you might say he's as far as I know, he came up with that concept.
Yeah, I mean, he was the one that's brought to the forefront. Even for the for the checklist mentality folks. There's two camps in California. People for medical marijuana. There's Dennis Perone and other people saying that's like whatever the doctor and the patient want, and then there's the checklist folks that saying it's only for these things, and the checklist folks had a lot of money, still have a lot of money, but they're losing the public opinion's not on their side. The public opinion in California is saying it's like, what's the big deal? It's up to the individual, and their doctor.
Our initiative goes just a little bit farther than that. We implement the production of marijuana according to the guidelines of international treaty. Now, the courts have ruled that international treaties have the same weight as the Constitution. So we complied with the conditions set by the Single Convention Treaty in the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. We used their specific controls in terms of the licensing requirements under the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act.
Yeah, and of course now that there's a movement afoot in the United Nations to change that, single convention, to make it stronger, because they realize people like us and other people around the world are starting to say, hey, this is a way to regulate it, to get it back from the underground and the black market, bring it above ground. So it's
exactly. Well, we pioneered that here.
So there's movement afoot to tighten that all up, and so it's real interesting. I know there's folks over in Europe right now being really strong, keeping an eye on that, because they've got a strong movement over there, and a lot of these, they had a big march in London recently. So that's, and it didn't get a lot of publicity here in the U.S., of course. It was a major march and protest in London about freeing cannabis. And,
right. Well, if they're trying to strengthen the treaties to stop our ability to do it, we better strike now while the iron is hot. We better seize the day. Carpe diem. Call us at 235-4606, because you need to get involved to stop the war on drugs. As I've often said, and Paul might be getting tired, and you too, of hearing, the war on drugs, I firmly believe, is the issue on which the future of freedom in America hinges. Help us protect freedom. Help us restore hemp call 235-4606.
Yeah, the war on drugs is a way for the powers that be, the ruling class, the owning class, we're going to call them, to control the rest of us, to control probably the 80% of us that don't own everything in the world. That those of us that just want to live, in a society of tolerance and openness, and they don't want that because they make their profits off of controlling folks. So give us a call or check out our website.
You can actually print our petitions from the World Wide Web if you're hooked up to the internet, or you can go to the library or your local school or whatever. Look at crrh.org. Name of our committee is Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, and that goes with our domain name, crrh.org. We're getting a lot of hits from people who want to see our videos. We have over 100 videos now that stream on the internet. Tons of things from 60 Minutes and national documentaries and film releases like Reefer Madness and a movie back a few years ago, Sex, Drugs, and Democracy. So look at that site, crrh.org.
Yeah, definitely, as Paul said, you can print our petition out petition directly from our website if you have the right software. And
you've gotten some of those back in the mail recently. I think you
correct.
said.
Yeah, and just even your own signature on there would be fantastic. Even just getting yourself and your next door neighbor on there would be fantastic, because it doesn't take a whole lot of people. We probably need raw signatures. 100,000. In a Portland area alone, what is it, 1 million people live here?
More than 1 million people in the Portland
so
area.
That's just 10%, less than 10%. So 1 out of 10 people you see in the street, if each one of those would sign this, we'd be there easily. And then that's how easy it is to get signatures, to get your own signature, and your family or your friend's signature.
We're running out of time to put this on the ballot this fall. This is the last month. We need all of our signatures by the end of June. If you're one of those over 1,500 people who've watched the show over the past year and called and asked for our petition, we've mailed it to you. Mail those back in today. We don't have much time left. If you can't get those in the mail by the last week of June, call us at this number, 235-4606. Bring them into our office. Send them on a bus, but make certain they get to us no later than the last day of June, or they don't count.
Yeah, we're harping on this right now probably, but we need those signatures back. The time is now. If we delay, we're going to be lost again for another 2 years or more.
Yeah, and who knows what will happen between now and then.
Exactly. And so we've got to show them that hey, we're out there and we're not going to take away have our rights being taken away lightly. We want to take back control of our own lives. We're not going to give up control of these people that want us to submit to obedience training, as Fred Arthur says. So give us a call, and because we want to make sure that doctors have the right to prescribe what they feel is necessary for their patients.
And that's a key component of the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act. And it says that right in our ballot question. It says legalizes marijuana for medical purposes and to adults. So we need your help. Get involved. There's not much time left. We've got till the end of this month to put this thing on the ballot. So if you know someone who needs a job, who needs work, we don't employ people, but we do contract with petition circulators, and we pay per signature. So call us at this number, 235-4606.
Yeah, and it's time for us to get together and think about, maybe you're watching the show and you've never used cannabis in your life, but you probably know somebody who has. And that person isn't a bad person. That person holds down a job, or you're watching, you hold down a job, you pay your taxes, and you realize that it's not a big deal. It's not the big fear that the government is telling us. You've got folks out there like Gordon Smith, Senator Gordon Smith, hiding behind children. Multnomah County Sheriff Dan Noelle hiding behind children, saying that, we've got to take away your rights so we can protect children. It's like, well, that's not true. If they really want to protect children using that mentality, they would take away alcohol and prescription drugs. The more people die from, wrong use of prescription drugs every year than
all illegal drugs combined. More people die from prescription drugs.
So they wouldn't give out any prescription drugs with that kind of mentality. And I don't know why because they realize they can't win the argument on logic or reason. They have to hide behind children, and it's sad. Grown men and women hiding behind children. They can't even stand on their own ideas.
Yeah, just last month, Paul and I held a news conference to counter Senator Gordon Smith and Sheriff Noel when they said that we have to stop marijuana. In fact, Sheriff Noel said, I saw him on this news conference that we opposed him in the TV thing. He said that if you get a marijuana petition shoved in your face, don't sign it. Well, Sheriff Noel, we don't shove petitions in people's face. I've never shoved anything in anybody's face. I don't like the implication. I don't like you coming and arresting our fellow citizens for marijuana. And we're going to stop you, buddy. So call us and help us stop this crazy sheriff. Call us at 235-4606.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to send Sheriff Noel a message. And it's like, look, when it's coming up, in the fall, he'll be on a ballot. Write somebody else's name in.
There's a guy named Slider who's running, and I don't know if he's good or bad, but he's got to be better than this clown.
Well, no, Slider's history though, because we're talking about the fall ballot now.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, write somebody in, just so Noelle doesn't, walk in a landslide, and and we got to send all those folks a message. Vera Katz, and all the city commissioners.
She's not running this year. Though.
Well, we've got to send them a message.
Yeah.
Because she'll be out there, hiding behind kids herself, and because they can't win the argument on ideas or reason. It's like slowly the emotion of children. And, the right message to children is think for yourself. I mean, that's how, anybody, who has been brought up in a normal way realizes that, you tell your kids to think for yourself. Because a parent can't be there behind them 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And so that's what this is all about, folks. Thinking for yourself, picking up that phone, giving us a phone call, getting the initiative, filling it out with your signature and hopefully some other signatures, sending it back to us. And if you have it already, send it back now. We need it.
The end of June is our deadline. So if you are going to get involved in the petition drive, you better do it now. If you're out there and you know someone who needs to earn money, have them call us. We're closing our show now. We want to thank you for watching. Last reminder, if you have petitions, send them back.
That's right, folks. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, it's been another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Thanks for watching.